Hi. Six Snipes here, and it really has been a while since I've done anything with a semblance to an Insurgency Sandstorm video.
Okay.
But instead of kicking it back into gear with a gun guide or the cosmetic video you've actually been asking for,
One time is funny, two times is fucking annoying, no?
I figured I'd continue this sort of series I have, making it my job to talk about the state of the game we all love. Having just come out of editing the 3K sub special and going into a coma afterwards, I have to admit I didn't answer as many questions as I'd have liked. One in particular has been sticking with me and bouncing around in my head. Why did you make your channel, much less continue to create content for the game to this day? And I have to admit it's somewhat striking to me because truth is, 4 months ago when I set out to make a video series on some of my favorite guns, I was no different than any of you are now.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The average Insurgency player, as it were. Fan of the game, respectable hours, and a schedule of playing relatively on the reg. I did co-op with my dad, PvP with some friends from Discord, but I think for me, and maybe for whoever's watching this video too, the hardest part about Insurgency Sandstorm is how small the community is. Let's face it, the daily player count doesn't exactly top the Steam charts. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure on the weekends it still performs less than Battlefield 4, which has been out for 8 years now. Everywhere I looked in real life, in my social groups and among my friends, there's just not an interest and no market for a game without kill streaks, regular respawns, and of course any semblance of a competitive mode. Because I might be real here, nobody's playing this shit. In that regard, the devs aren't particularly helpful either. The community outreach isn't exactly great, and the entire PR scene within NWI looks like a long, uneventful stream of someone in front of a webcam trying to have a conversation with a text chat on the internet. There's no discussion, there's no excitement, at least from the official channels, so at the end of the day, it really does come down to the fans. Which brings me back to this question. Why did I start making arbitrary videos on unpopular guns in a less than staple game? Because frankly, I just wanted to show people what I saw that was good, which is why I'm here today. Having reached a whole 3,000 subscribers in no time at all, one thing has become evident to me. There's not exactly a surplus of content out there for Insurgency. In fact, that's almost certainly why I found so much success to begin with. I got comments from the get-go about how nobody else really does actual videos in the game. Not many interesting ones at least, and definitely not what you'd call AAA. Go to the Reddit, you'd find plenty of videos, uncut footage ranging anywhere from 10 seconds to 10 painful minutes, or stream highlights from a broadcast maybe 3 people were watching. Boring! There is a lot of this, but I didn't think it was what people wanted to see then, and I stand by that now. So I set out to just make something with the semblance of education, a lot of dry humor, and what most videos lack, a little bit of editing magic. Now, getting started at YouTube is a crazy thing. You have a profile which functions as a channel, with 0 subscribers and 0 clue or guidance on what to make, much less how to do it. Me, I'm a kid with a minimal exposure to editing software, most proficient with the Adobe suite, and by suite, I mean I can vaguely trace images into PNGs on Photoshop, move around clips in Adobe Premiere, and one time I even opened up Adobe Illustrator. I still don't know what it's for though. Like 10 YouTube tutorials later, I was well on my way to editing my first Sandstorm video, around 6 minutes talking about why I liked the AKS the best. 4 months later, that first video is still up, and the series that started brought my channel from around 17 subs of my closest friends to 3,500 internet strangers. I went from a virtual nobody to still a nobody, but at least I'm monetized now, so that's kind of cool. So for today's video, I think I'm going to share the pointers which helped myself become a recognized content creator for this game and within the community as a whole, because honestly, I hope someday other people will follow up my content with videos, ideas, and views of their own. So you want to make Insurgency videos, but not just videos, interesting videos, helpful, funny, or else expanding one's perspective on the game. I have 3 tips for you. Number 1, the first thing you'll need is the software. In terms of recording footage, I use the NVIDIA GeForce for my gameplay. Many others use OBS, but I find for some reason on my system it just has way too many artifacts and overall resolution drops for absolutely no reason, but it has way more settings to play around with, so if it works, it works. Bear in in mind, both are completely free. As for editing software, I use the Adobe Creative Cloud, only because I happen to be in a position that requires it anyways. However, if you want to make YouTube videos, do not drop your money on an expensive plan which effectively rents out the software of a corporation just because it is widely regarded as industry standard. You are not in the industry. You are making videos for a game with 3,000 people online at any given weekday. I have used Shotcut, and for a free program, I cannot recommend it enough. It is actually better than Adobe Premiere in many regards, particularly a more roundabout but ultimately more efficient way to subtitle videos with on-screen text, the way you see in my subscriber specials and various clips. This is what I use to make every clip from the BF4 nostalgia video, and if you have a look at the product, it speaks for itself. You'll also want some picture editing software, Photoshop-esque, either as an app or a web engine. Why? Well, that brings us to our next point. Number 2, polish your videos.
Details.
That editing software is so you can actually edit. It may suck, but the reality is that it is well demonstrated that the more time you spend editing a video, the more interesting it is to watch. Cut to the chase. Don't post an entire 10-minute match for the sake of a 30-second play. An interesting format that would be at the very most a 1-minute excerpt from the full video. Feel free to speed up footage between the more boring parts, but I almost always just cut out just enough that there's a transition, but you're still aware it's the same match in the exact same moments. If you're voicing a video, which I highly recommend, you don't need to be an effective speaker. Go look at my old videos. It's more obvious, but nowhere near as horrendously painful as I actually was with the magic of editing. Do you think my videos would be anywhere near as interesting if you heard every breath or stumble I took between lines or in between statements? Cut that out. Use multiple takes. It's a very simple concept that will make your video sound very much better if you just put an extra 5 or 10 minutes into it. For recording the voicing of scripts, I use Audacity. It is a free and incredibly effective and understandable multi-track editing tool. Most notable is that despite whatever microphone you're using, it will make it sound 100 times better with an effect called remove background noise.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
More or less, it lets you sample the noise that is made in the background of wherever you're recording and automatically filters it out, which is why you hear my voice clearly instead of the jet engine of my computer running right next to my face. To top it all off, you know that picture editing software? Use it to make a thumbnail. YouTube may have an autofilter, which allows you to select between a handful of frames it thinks may be interesting, but forget about it. Your videos are not only far more appealing with any sort of thumbnail at all, but YouTube is also far likelier to recommend videos with more features like this. The same goes for a filled out description and an identifier of what game you're playing. Check these boxes among other things and your content appears far more professional and liable to be picked up by the almighty algorithm. And speaking of the algorithm, there's one last thing I'd tell you, because if the YouTube RNG machine favors anything, above all else is number 3. 2 words, and I cannot stress this enough: regular uploads. You cannot make a singular video and hope it just goes viral as a freak accident, then disappear for the next 2 or 3 months, but that's what I see so many people do. Make yourself a schedule. I recommend 1 video a week. Pick a day. Always make a video on that day. I upload most on Monday because I have all weekend to get it done beforehand and then spend whatever free time afterwards for the rest of the week trying to get a second or even third video out. Now this all may seem like a lot of work, and to be fair, it can be. The average gun guide is roughly 5 to 6 hours of production after roughly 4 hours of recording time. That means that part of being a content creator is being able to put down the controller or closing the game and going to your desktop and working on a video instead of playing the actual game. To be perfectly honest, this is almost certainly what discourages people the most. It takes a certain level of love for anything to spend time outside of that thing to make content, but if you have any semblance of the passion like I do, you'll find that the gratification of people watching and enjoying your content is far more than the kill streak you might get on the occasional Saturday night with the boys. That's just about all I have to say about content creation, at least for Insurgency. And since we're on the topic, I'll go ahead and give a couple shoutouts. First and foremost, I'll tell you there's a couple other really talented Insurgency creators I'd like to see more people check out. Firstly, Azeocast, who is, for all intents and purposes, the master of the edit. He does videos for an actual Insurgency team with players and everything, as well as some of his own highlights I find quite fun. Then there's
Xiaomi,
who makes some incredible artistic and fanboyish edits of Insurgency, celebrating different aspects and really capturing the theme of the whole game. Videos I can't get enough of. I have linked both of these creators down in the description, so I cannot say more confidently, go check these guys out. If anything in this video has caught your eye and maybe you feel the call of the content, feel free to go to the link down below and visit my Discord. You can see the videos of me and these creators I've mentioned, as well as interact with both them and my community as a whole. There's something I want to do for the blossoming creators of Insurgency if I reach 5k subs, so maybe keep that in mind and start working on your own editing skills. But until then, I'm Six Snipes. I hope my advice has helped some of the creators I have PMing me every so often and inspired more people to get out there and make their own. I'll be watching, and as always, I'll see you out there in Sandstorm.